So just netted up, this is the batch of Sakai fish, the single biggest investment in a batch of fish I've ever made. And yeah, today's the day they finally get just a quick check through, see if there's anything that I want that's not good enough to continue growing, although there isn't. If there is, it's going to be a few. We've got to get them moved into their big growing pond for the summer, but we've been working hard. Obviously, had to go through quarantine, and yeah, they've already grown a fair bit. These are just sensational. Every single fish has got an individual Sakai breeder's certificate. It's just insane. And when you see the pond we're going to actually get to in a bit, last year I started with product that was in essence nowhere near the quality this was, and that's produced some amazing fish. So to now have a base starting level as good as this, it's just super exciting. So yeah, I'm going to get on with getting them sorted now. And there's customers who's actually, some of these have been pre-sold through one of our dealers, so I need to get them sorted as well. And it looks like a few of them customers are going to be growing the fish here over the summer as well. You get on with them boxes, mate. I'll grab a couple of nets.
Yeah, sound.
And get on with them.
Cool.
So first up, I'm just hoping, I need to separate out because there's some non-Go Sanke stuff in here from the Sakai mango line. And there's no way I want to be growing that along with the Go Sanke. It's a complete mismatch. Crazy different feeding behaviours. If I get that kind of stuff wrong, you'll just have the Kohaku Koi kind of growing at a disproportionate rate and slowing the other stuff down. This kind of, obviously, you know, any kind of netting is a stress for a fish. That's why we just want to get done as quickly as possible. We'll take some precautions as well. It's really important before a selection like this or any kind of heavy netting in an intense environment is that we stop the food at least 2 days before for them to empty their gut out, which is exactly what we've done. So actually in the auction, these Kohaku Koi, or say Kohaku Koi, the Koi mono family, we've got like Karashi Koi and actually Chagoi from the Sakai mango line. Now the Sakai mango is a huge Karashi based bloodline that produces monstrous fish, and the demand, the prices of the batches of these far exceeded most of the Go Sanke, which is the famous and main production of the farm. Particularly the Chagoi that I wanted to get hold of, they were just outrageous. Single-handedly for fish the size they were, I mean they're considerably bigger now than then, but it was bonkers, absolutely bonkers. Per fish at the time they were sort of like 12 to 15 cm, and we'd have been looking at realistically there'd have been £700–800 in the retail world, which is crazy. The issue with these, I don't truly know where the ponds go in, but these could quite easily make a huge 60 sort of cm Nisai, and it's the monstrous body that they get, which is why they're so popular. I mean, at that point, the Nisai stuff I've seen go for absolutely thousands and thousands of pounds, but the fact of it is there's just so little of it now as well, it's shoving the value through the roof. Just in general, Sakai Nisai in the marketplace of real quality are few and far between because of the prices they're commanding. These have been here now for a couple of months, I think, altogether. We'll actually check in, but like I say, the average was probably around, 13 to sort of 17 cm, and I can see already they've grown considerably from that point. The nature of these, this Sakai Koi farm is the #1 koi farm in the world. It's undisputed. It's really serious shit. As one guy described it to me who's seen it, it's kind of like the industrial mass production of koi, because it's all very data driven, science driven as well in the breeding techniques and the raising. It's pretty much what it's become, but it's why it's so consistent, and because it's consistent, that's why the bloodline and the fish command such high prices. You know, these guys can produce a grand champion or multiple grand champions for multiple shows every year. They don't just live off the back of the success of one fish. They do it again and again and again, to the point where it actually is getting a little bit boring. It's just hard to compete against. They, even Dainichi Koi Farm, the closest to them, I feel is probably lagging way behind at the minute. But Sakai, it's aspirational. To do anything, produce anything like this kind of standard in any kind of number would be a dream come true. So in the end, right now I'm just making sure I got all the different varieties I've done. I've then got to highlight the customer's fish and get them separate before I make my decisions on what I'm going to move to that pond. Customers are then going to decide whether they want to ship theirs fish or have them grown if I advise that that's a viable option. Right now, just separating everything is just going to make my life a lot easier. It's just that it's enjoyable for people. Investing in, you know, these as they were sold even back then as small fish were anything from 500 up to like 900 pound a fish, I think. And that's a lot, and not every hobbyist has got the ability to raise that in their own pond, because if they've got a mixed pond with a lot of big fish, that small fish going in there is going to be a huge disadvantage. So here, obviously commercially, that's all things I take care of to make sure that high potential fish they're buying truly delivers on, you know, on its potential really. It's sort out time, so I've got everything now finally separated. I've got the customers' sold fish separated, which I'll deal with on their own. But for me, I've got a net full of Sanke and Kohaku and a very few showa that are going to be reviewed now as to what's going in that pond. And also there's fish in here which, not unfortunately, I've got to kind of average out the sizes as well, because generally in that pond I need to make sure there's a consistent size range. If there's a few fish that are too big, they're going to become dominant at feed time and just excel and hold the others back. Likewise, if it's too small, we're going to have to look for a different environment for that as well. So, but yeah, overall, it's just reminding me, seeing them up close, just how exceptional this is as a batch of fish. It's absolutely remarkable. You see them there as they come up. Pond space, so I can't keep everything, you know, pond space. At the moment it could take everything, but I want to try and be a bit more selective than that. It would be nice to get a few sold as well, to just claw a bit of cash back, sort of out the deal, put back into circulation, which is always a reality, you know, can't keep everything. But ultimately I'm governed by the pond space. I really want to max these out and get the absolute best out of them, and to do that I need to keep that stocking level as low as possible from the outset really. So there's 58 pieces in there altogether, which is already, that's a lot of fish. So usually when I'm doing a selection, I look for the, I'll basically separate out what I want to keep, and then what's left behind we will do, obviously move for sale, do whatever we're doing. In this instance, I'm first going to obviously do the size grading. So this bowl as a whole, the main thing I want to do right now is just work it down to an average size. So just visually, anything that really stands out as too big, I'm going to move out of here. Then after that, that's going to leave the general population. And at that, I'm just going to look and see if there is anything that I don't really think is worthy of the investment of all the resource that's going to get put into raising these how I am doing. So we might look for a different pond for that, or look to sell it on at that point. That's no slight on any of these, trust me. I don't think there's going to be many come out. It's just bonkers what I'm looking at. Yeah, and I do want to document a lot of these as well, but right now there's no time for that. I just need to get them moved so I can free this pond up. So probably a week or so later we might actually net all the fish back out to measure and document them as we wish to. But already looks like they've grown a fair bit. Like I said, I think the average was sort of like 12 to 16, 17 cm. There were a few bigger that I bought, but not a lot. And I mean, today we're at sort of 19 there, up to sort of 22 on the average already. Like I say, there's some bigger, but they started bigger, and it's yeah, they're looking amazing. One thing I do want to point out, just because, and these are valuable fish, valuable Tosai, you know, all differing levels to be honest, but just because they're expensive, you have to remember that's no guarantee of success. I think there's a real high expectation within the industry that when people pay a high price for a Tosai, it's going to do well. All I'm paying for here, you know, ultimately it's the higher potential, but there will still be failures. And as you can see here right now, there is a failure. We've got one that's already suffered Benny loss, colour loss on the majority. I know it had a Marathon pattern on the head. You can vaguely still see it, but that's ultimately probably going to have 100% Benny failure on that and just leave us with a Becco in the end of it. So yeah, as much as experience allows you to sort of reduce that risk, it can still happen. Tosai just change a lot. They can be very wild and unpredictable. But this is one thing that Sakai is famed for, and it's that there's just so much quality, and I can see it, that they're so reliably quite consistent in delivering a good level of quality and a consistent result as well, which hopefully we'll see over time with these as well. Right now I've got no idea where they're going to go though, that's the problem. It's going to be looking at a pond that I'll be stocking other fish of a similar size to them to make sure again they're going to be an optimal environment for them as well. The one that's failed, that'll probably just, in all honesty, I'm probably going to sit tight on it, because if it has full Benny failure, it's going to become a Becco, and at that point it'll actually regain a bit of value. And then likewise, stuff like this one you can generally see is just, it's an amazing piece, but you can see it's a lot smaller than the rest of the pack. So again, it's just not going to be the best environment for this one. I'll again have to find another home for it. The same with that. This is actually, when you look at this, this is a real standout, exceptional piece. Remarkable potential, but just lagging a little bit. And I had this with my Sakai fish last year, so there was a batch that I isolated, and in the end, because I gave them the right environment and condition to thrive, they caught back up with the rest of the pack, and that's too good for me to muck around with it. So again, we'll look to rehome that, and the same with this. Quality level of that is so high. Remarkable balance, technical, really technical pattern, and amazing quality to go with it as well. The growing on that we offer is generally for anybody. It just depends on the fish. That's what dictates who the growing on service is for. It's got to be the right fish. So whether that's a dealer or a hobbyist who's bought it through a dealer, I will only keep and grow fish I know that can deliver the results for people, because pond space is always limited. And likewise, when people start out on the journey, they want to make sure, or I want to make sure, it's a successful one for them by doing as much as I can to make sure it's the right fish. So I've just checked there now. If I look, smallest fish, so that's hitting about 18, I think, on the biggest end. About 22, so we've got a 4 cm differential. It can often look a little bit more, because even with that 4 cm there's a big change in body volume, but that's absolutely perfect. I like around a 5 cm average differential. So on that basis now I'm just going to look and see if there's anything that I don't want to invest any more resource into at this moment in time, and then look to get these into the pond. So what I'm generally looking for in these right now, I mean, like I say that, I'm just looking for something where I might think the colour might not hold up under the intense environment the way they're going to be pushed. But as I'm looking, I say it's really, really difficult, because we look for body, skin and pattern, and this is the thing with the fish at this level. They're ticking absolutely all 3 boxes. They're absolutely insane. And also just checking for any deformities that could have been missed, because it's absolutely pointless putting resource into something that will have absolutely no commercial value because of a deformity. That one then, I just noticed it's got a little bit of a cataract on its eye, which will be a problem. Very, very difficult to treat. Right now I'm literally just looking for major faults like that. Colouring fins drives me a bit bonkers, in truth, only because with this kind of level, colouring the fin will devalue it. So again, with the raising and all the cost that's going to come from raising it, I need to make sure anything like that, when you know from the offset it's going to devalue and limit it, it's no point actually putting into it in the first place. You just see it there, unfortunately. And that's a major problem, because customers at this level are potentially looking at koi showfish, you know, these becoming prospects for that, and all that colour in that fin is just a major demerit in that kind of arena. But other than that, from what I'm looking at, I'm nothing but excited for everything else I'm seeing in here. Like I say, there will be failures along the way. There's no denying that. It's just making sure, to be honest with these, you know that up front. That's it. Don't go spending your money expecting an absolute banging result to be the only way it's going to go, because unfortunately it isn't. Like I say, we do as much as we can to minimise it, but fish have caught me out all the time over the years. It's really tricky. It's got a bent mouth. That's so annoying because I really like that fish. Just caught it swimming then, really nice prospect, but as its mouth was extending out, you could see it veers slightly off to one side. It's not easy to spot, but again, something like that, it's a big no-no. Just not worth spending any more time on that. So as ever, there's always some standout fish. Obviously you have a look for yourself, but it's nice to see those early front runners, but it's also interesting to kind of catch a few that really could drastically change over the course of this. So I mean, one that instantly springs to mind, there's a super standout marathon Sanke that was standout when I bought that bowler fish, to be honest with you, this year. Absolutely nuts pattern. Can see all the signs and the potential for the sumi development in all the right areas, and Subo sumi where it's sat on the white skin as well. Mega piece, amazing setup, so excited to see that. We'll get ones like this, really intricate Sanke. Showing quite well now with the sumi, which is always nice. Super balanced Benny pattern. Amazing sumi, amazing refinement. Look, we look there on the shoulder. The katasumi, the shoulder sumi, the refinement of the kiwa at the back edge. It's just absolutely immense. Again, really technical pattern on that one. Then you get sort of, when you're in a bowl like that, it can be easy to miss fish like this one, where it's got immense quality. I mean, really, the Benny, what's happening right now is the sumi's all sat down. Small indicators of its quality, but when I actually look, I mean, you've got a beautifully balanced Benny pattern there. Sumi sat all throughout it in all the right areas. This is the kind of one that over time really comes to the fore and can often be overlooked for something more like this at the minute, which there's no denying its quality. It's just a lot more sumi up, it's a lot more there and in your face. You can see early signs of the major Sakai backbone characteristic there with that look, big broad head, and it's already the height creeping in there, typical Sakai characteristic. Then you just see some immense, you know, undeniable things like the skin on this one. Look, I mean, this actually looks like a Deutsch Sanke. It's absolutely bonkers how good that is. Such amazing skin luster already, which is nice, but they can tend to, like I say, steal the limelight away from the stuff that can really, over time, come through. So it's important to keep I think the real thing here is not to be too taken by the sumi pattern, because it all changes. Where it's got sumi up, it can fall down as they start to grow, and this is what we find a lot, and it's why fish that do have really desirable patterns when they're young command such prices, because everybody wants them. When you're sensible and you can see through that, that's when you can really start to build a collection for more realistic prices by taking a bit of a chance on something. So yeah, time to get these into the new home, I think. So now we're on to Kohaku from Sakai, and yeah, my God, the quality just keeps on coming. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, there's a few actually bigger fish that were from a separate batch that I had to sell a kidney for, and they're looking exceptional. But yeah, super high. You can just see it's the qualities again. The skin's just absolutely shining. So yeah, I mean, straight away, the average in here is actually really good. There's just a few pieces that I did buy from a bigger batch, a separate batch, that they were considerably bigger and they still are now, so we need to take them out, but they are seriously fruity pieces. Just, they're going to be remarkable. See that one, this one here. Quality and potential both right now, just so exciting. So get them out, and then I think overall we're pretty much going to be on point with the others. So in the auctions, these are all listed. This is select bowls of fish. You're bidding on the exact fish that are sat in that bowl, and there's just so many lots. You know, even just the time of going through it all is seriously, it takes a lot. You're having to assess the bowl as an average because that's what you're bidding for. And some are weighted more favourable than others. You can see a lot more potential in a full bowl than with others. And yeah, ultimately, when I've done all that homework as well, I've still then got to get them for a price that I think is sensible and workable. Which that word sensible kind of goes out the window at this farm. The whole auction was 3 days, and I probably spent about 3 hours prior just sorting through all the lots. And then on the day itself, you're in the auction room for about three to 4 hours as well. The Japanese bidding system's actually really a pain in the arse because it's got like the anti-snipe feature, really. So in the last 5 minutes, if you place a bid, it adds another 5 minutes on, and it just goes on and on and on if you're not careful. It's wild. It was about 6 weeks, I think, from winning the auction to actually getting the fish here. And yeah, you just want to make sure they do a really good job with the pictures and the videos, and I always make sure I research both just in case the pictures are being doctored. Which you really do have to watch for. But yeah, these have not let me down in the slightest. They're remarkable. So these are going to join the Sanke that we've just been through and selected in the 3.5k pond to grow on. Hopefully through to around October, November, but these will become, within the 12-month growing period that I will give them, these will become hopefully up to around a 60 centimetre Nisai, which is, yeah, you just see this lot change. This kind of quality at that size is just going to look absolutely mind-blowing. So now I'm just looking for any that I don't think want to be in that particular and growing environment they're going into, which again isn't many. We've just got to be as strict as possible with the numbers at all times. Yeah, some have got faults which we'll just need. They'll be sold and they'll be priced according. There will be fish that will make a considerable loss on as well, to be fair, based on where they're at. This is one part of raising that a lot of people don't see. They just kind of focus on the end results, where, you know, you focus on the most expensive fish that's sold in the batch. But yeah, you know, a lot of these, the likelihood is you'll probably be at a break even or a tiny bit that won't actually warrant the growing that's done. The whole industry works on the small percentages of fish that come really good. That's what we rely on to have any profit really left in there to, you know, reinvest in other batches and all the rest of it. It's interesting when you actually look at the whole batch and how all the numbers do stack up with raising in particular. Yeah, so I mean, it's not likely that I'll see any, you know, full cash recovery on these, probably, you know, 12 months at least. It's obviously, if I want to sell them now, that'll come a lot quicker, but people have to see the value in them now. Chances are we will look at this and release some for sale soon, but right now the priority is getting these into that pond, just to keep the farm flowing and working, and we'll come back to that at another point. There's some standout fish. This one here right away, such a big powerful body, amazing skin, really epic skin quality. Just see how it shines. Lovely balance and flow to the whole pattern as well, and a pattern that's going to look nice as that progresses. You see ones like that. Same again, look, just absolutely amazing. Lovely, lovely refined kiwa and sashi to the majority of them as well. So excited to get them going. And interestingly, this is, as a batch of fish, this is really, this quality level to smaller operations would be their what are called tatigoi, fish that they want to keep and grow on. Plenty of these are the level of fish I've seen breeders keep as tatigoi. It's just at Sakai, this quality level, they're producing so much and so much above this level as well that they can just openly sell fish like this. That's something to really, really bear in mind, and it's again why the things carry such a premium. So yeah, on the way to the 3.5k pond to join the Sakai Sankes. So these just came in, little bits of 17 to 21 in there, so pretty much on the average of the others. Absolutely glowing. So there was one more batch, but it would appear that's them gone. Shit always happens when it's red hot in here. I suspect there's more. Oh wow. That'll probably do it. Fucking hell. Nope, that's that.